Hey guys, it's Crystal from Refraction Vlog. It's been a while since my last vlog, and a lot has changed. So, the biggest change has been I now have a co-pilot. Meet my co-pilot, Shadow. Say hey girl. Hi. That's hi. That's how you say hi. Well, this is Shadow. She's frisky, and she loves to travel as much as I do. At least I like to tell myself that. Having to go from a solo traveler to a cat mom was a huge transition, and there are a lot of things that I couldn't find online that I had to learn myself the hard way, and I want to create this series of videos so that you don't have to struggle as much as I did. So in the first video, we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of bringing her along, and then in the second video, we'll go over some of the paperwork and some of the do's and don'ts that you want to keep in mind. So as you can imagine, traveling with a cat is a challenge, but what made this a little bit more challenging is that we're traveling from sub-Saharan Africa, where there aren't a lot of videos about traveling with animals, to Southeast Asia, and we were doing it in the middle of a pandemic, coronavirus. So there were definitely some hitches along the way due to all of those factors. But what I'm going to talk to you about is how we managed to overcome that and how you can do the same. So 30 to 90 days before you intend to travel with your cat, there are some basics that you want to get squared away pretty much immediately. First of all is the rabies vaccine. Almost every country that we researched required her to have a rabies vaccine. You also want to do your regular required vaccinations as well. Make sure that you don't do it too early when the cat is just a little kitten. You have to follow the requirements for her health as well as for getting the vaccine. Also, be sure to get the rabies titer test completed. Depending on where you are in the world, this can take different amounts of time. We were in Kenya, where the test cannot be done. It has to be shipped to the UK, so that added 90 days onto our schedule, which we just couldn't do because she was only 4 months, so there was no way to vaccinate her and get the test done, which meant that we had to change our routes, that we did not go through countries that required that test. So if you can do it, please get that out of the way, sort of priority one. About 30 to 45 days before you want to travel, start researching your routes. It's very important to remember that wherever your cat has to deplane or go through customs and immigration with you, you have to be sure that your cat also meets the rules of that country. So for example, we wanted to avoid flying through the UAE because she did not meet the requirements of the UAE when she deplaned. So be very careful to start your route planning at least 30 to 45 days before your trip. Something that we learned the hard way is that each airline has its own requirements, from the size and dimensions of the carrier to how far in advance you need to notify them that you're bringing your cat on board. So be sure you understand not just what the country requires, but also what each airline requires. One of the most important requirements for choosing an airline, at least for us, was whether or not Shadow would be allowed to travel in the cabin with me, or if I would have to check her into a climate-controlled cargo compartment. I was very lucky to find 2 airlines that I could cobble together their routes into an actual trip, and they both allowed Shadow in the cabin. One curveball was that our very last flight, they had to put her in the cargo, which is not printed anywhere in the regulations. So I highly recommend always travel with a hard side carrier in case at the last minute or you miss a flight or there's something with the regulations you missed. You might have to put your pet in the climate controlled section and you want them to be protected. So do always travel with a hard side carrier, even if for most of the flight you can carry your pet with you in the plane. One last thing I should cover is the question of to get an agent or not to get an agent. So in my case, I had an agent recommended to me. I contacted her. She didn't respond for 72 hours after I had an inquiry. And I don't know about you, but I know that I'm passionate about my pet, and I'm the one who's going to spend the most time and effort on making sure that she is safe and that she goes from A to B. So if you can find a great agent, definitely feel free to use one. But for me, my route was so unusual that even the agent was confused. So I decided to just kind of handle it all myself. And I felt much better about Shadow's future. So that's why I did not use an agent. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. In the next video in our series, we're going to talk about the mountain of paperwork you will have to complete to bring your little loved one with you on your next trip. So stay tuned, we'll walk you through everything you need to be prepared. Until then, keep traveling.